No one knows what the future holds. And because of that, Solomon in Ecclesiastes 11 teaches us that we should live our lives to the fullest. We should live in generosity. We should live out our dreams. We should take every day, one day at a time, and live them to the fullest. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in today to Horns Methodist Church. Hope this message from Ecclesiastes 11 will be helpful. I was trying to figure out how to research this thing about enjoyment and daily. So I came across two very gifted theologians. One named Lou Holtz, and the other named Jim Valvano. Jim Valvano made this statement: laugh every day. Laugh. Laugh out of control every day. And then he said, set aside some time to think every day, to think. Think about what is going on in your life. Think about what's going on in other people's lives. Think about how you might make things better for folks, if you will. And he said, just think. You know, I kind of believe we have a generation of people out there who don't want to think. They want to react. Case in point. A case in point is I saw recently, I watched this happen to my amazement. I saw these protesters, anti-Israel protesters that were all over the college campuses, and they went out and interviewed them. And no one could even say what it means from the river to the sea. Had no idea. They had no idea what the term intifada meant. Had no idea and actually did not believe October 7th happened. They said that was all AI, that was all contrived. And additionally are saying that the Holocaust never happened. Now, how do you deal with that? Well, we have to teach people how to think. And people are not thinking today, in my opinion, very well. And that's what Solomon means here when he says, light is sweet and it pleases the eyes to see the sun. Enjoyment, enjoy life. Life is pretty short anyway, is it not? Why would anybody go through life as a sad sack and not celebrate what's going on around them in good ways? Enjoyment of life. The next thing that he said, that Coach V said, he said, laugh, and he meant laugh, gut laugh, get it out, laugh. And we know that laughter is a very healing thing in our lives. Is that not true? I've got a book out there I'd like to recommend to you, as long as you will give me a pass on some of the language in that book. The name of the book is You Can't Say That. It was written by Kat Timpf, who is a Gutfield person on his show. You can't say that. And what she talks about in this book is how our culture has robbed us of our sense of humor to the extent that we walk around in misery. And she even talks about, think about this, the value of dark humor. Dark humor is valuable, according to this author, and she quotes many other sources and references, in that it allows us to take in bad news incrementally. So when I had my first stroke, I'd been in this church like a month, and here I am in the hospital a week with a stroke. I get back, I missed 2 Sundays. I get back to the pulpit, and you can see people are just filled with anxiety. He's been here a month and we already killed him. Now, people were actually thinking that. So I got up and I wisecracked. I know that's shocking to you. I said, the doctor put a chip in my chest to monitor my heart, but he got the wrong chip. I was walking down the street and a veterinarian grabbed me and tried to give me a parvo shot. Dark humor helps people to ease into their reality. And it's invaluable that we allow people to laugh and think. And the last thing he said was, cry. He said, laugh, think, and cry. I think sometimes I'm especially guilty of trying to choke back my tears. I watched this video, thank God I had seen it several times at home, because the video we showed today about fathers really broke me down. I miss my dad every time I have a question. I want to ask somebody a question. I think of my dad. I miss him still, almost a daily basis. And he died in 1986. And I still miss him. But the point is, enjoy life. And by the way, Lou Holtz almost parroted what Jimmy Valvano said about that as well. Lou Holtz talked about how we need to laugh, we need to cry, we need to think. My next point is, follow your heart's dream. I think sometimes we don't do that. Let me just say about that today. No one in here is too old to have a heart's dream. Think about how, if you could paint a picture of how you would like to be a year from now, what would that look like? And also, what you might do is write down the list of things you would do to mess that up. Most of us have no idea how to get what we want that way, but we do know what we can do to mess it up. I've had any number of experiences with couples and counseling situations throughout my career. When I asked the wife, I said, tell me what it is, how would you like to be in 6 months? And the wife can name it almost immediately. And she'll say, I want some peace and joy in my life. And then I'll turn to her and I'll say, well, tell me what you're going to do to mess that up. And that person can always give me a list of 4 or 5 things they will do to mess it up. I turn to the husband and I say, well, how would you like to be in 6 months? He goes, happy. I said, well, tell me what you're going to do to mess that up. And most people do a very good job at outlining the things they will do to mess up what they're trying to get, as opposed to how to get to where they're going to want to go. Be happy, young man, while you're young. Now, Solomon is speaking extreme wisdom here. Now, when I think of this verse and this passage of Scripture, my thinking goes all the way back to Joseph of Egypt, Joseph. And I think about, what did he do to mess up? He gets tossed in a well through no fault of his own, left there to die, until one of his brothers has a little surge of conscience and says, wait a minute, we got to go back and get him and let him out. Instead of just killing him, we'll sell him into slavery. He ends up in Egypt. He has all this stuff going on in his life. He finds out that he gets accused of trying to seduce Potiphar's wife, ends up in prison. And at every turn in Joseph's life, he did the unexpected. He rose above his circumstances on a regular basis to do the best he could wherever he was. How does that happen? Well, he understood the big picture in his heart. He did not get down by the circumstances around him. And I think, in my opinion, the big deal for Joseph, and I'm only speculating when I say this, Joseph had the ability to look at what he had and not what he lost. Because that is a big key to happiness. There are some folks in our culture that can only think about what they've lost. And I go, wow. And it's tragic to live that way, because if you fixate on what you've lost, you're naturally going to have a downtime. It's hard. But always think about what you have. He says this, follow the ways of your heart. I love this. And wherever your eye goes, your eye sees. And then he says, but know that for all these things, God will bring you to judgment. See, that's the balancing factor here of somebody going out kind of willy-nilly chasing their dreams. Because what he says is, chase your dreams, but recognize that at the end of the day, you're going to be accountable to God. How brilliant is that balancing act that Solomon does here? It's brilliant. And understanding that your dreams are your dreams, And those dreams are yours, you own them. But how those dreams play out in your life at whatever age you're currently at, those dreams you're held accountable for. And sometimes I do a good job of blowing that stuff off. I have a thought in my head about something I want to do that's good and righteous, whatever, and I end up talking myself out of it. And I think about often, why did I do that? I don't know. But I find myself doing that. It's interesting too that, I'm 51% introvert. I'm 49% extrovert, according to Myers-Briggs. Which means I can refuel by being with people as an introvert, and I can refuel by being by myself as an extrovert. Now, how strange is that? Sometimes it plays out really strangely. I can appear to be schizophrenic in a minute, almost. It goes back to one of my favorite little adages. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm schizophrenic. Hey, me too. I can refuel either way. Well, the next point I want to make is incredibly important for us in our culture today. Because we don't know what the future holds, you ready for this one? It's big. Chill. That's a great theological term. I'm sure I found that in a theological dictionary somewhere back in the day. But the point is, calm down. So then banish anxiety from your heart and cast off the troubles of your body. Why? Because anxiety affects the body. For youth and vigor are meaningless. How true is that? Youth and vigor. Why are youth and vigor meaningless? Because you were that way yesterday, today you're old. That's how it goes. The time flies so quickly that youth and vigor, he says, are meaningless. Wow. How confessional is that? Now, he's not being cynical. He's just making an observation as the wisest person that ever lived when he says, they're meaningless. So chill. Now, here's how I think we can chill. First of all, and I've dealt with this for a lifetime, if there are things in your life that are bothering you still, and you can do something about it without causing further harm, go do something about it. Okay? Very simple. But try to learn to live in the present tense. So often folks are living in the past, and you can't change the past, or they're caught up with the anxiety of the future because no one knows the future. And I think how foolish it is of us and me to get all wrought up about the future when I have no clue about what the future will be. I made a statement many years ago, preaching a sermon in my father-in-law's church, back before he was my father-in-law. So it's been over 40 years ago. As a matter of fact, congratulate me today. Today is our 46th anniversary. And they said it would never last. The point being, in this sermon I made the statement that, and this was in the 70s when things were really crazy economically. You remember those days at all? Probably tried to forget them. I said, at the going rate, within 20 years, hamburger will be $10 a pound. It's still not $10 a pound, it's close. But think about that anxiety that people have about the future. You can't control the future, so why try to control the future? Live a life where you keep your records current. Keep your anxieties current. And those anxieties you have, learn to let go of them. Let me illustrate it this way. I'm probably going to mess it up a little bit. I better move this. Years ago, I was in a very toxic church situation, very toxic. Someday I'll write a book about that one situation. Terrible situation. I went to bed every night for 6 months taking something to go to sleep. So finally, when I left that toxic situation behind, I decided I needed a worry chair. I had a worry chair. If I was sitting in that chair, I was worrying. But the only time I had permission to worry was when I was sitting in that chair. So I'd start thinking about something I didn't like or something going on or worrying about it. I said, whoop, I can't do that today. I'm not in that chair. And believe it or not, that helped get me through some difficult times. So in fact, don't worry, chill. You can't fix what you don't know is broken, and you can't fix the future at all. How do you chill? I love what a seminary professor said to me one time, said to our class. The guy had $5 to his name when he was in divinity school. All of his bills were paid, he had food in the cupboards, everything's current, he had $5 left till payday. You know what he did? He took his wife out to play putt-putt. And back then you could play putt-putt for less than $5. And they shared a double scoop of ice cream. He had it, he figured out. So chill. Do things that are fun and invigorating, and do things that give you energy and enthusiasm, and chill. Let's pray together. Thank you for tuning in to Horns Methodist Church today. If this message on the uncertainties of the future has been helpful, feel free to give us a call at 252-237-4616. We'd be glad to talk with you about this or anything else related to your spiritual journey. God bless you and have a wonderful week.